You guys out there that just hit play, you're tuning into a fresh, new Memorial Day weekend episode of Chasing Birdies. My man JP.
With shake and bacon.
Dude, it's like, it's here. And I tell you what, the weather this week feels like fall. It's ridiculous.
Yeah, it's great. Give me this, cookie cut this for the rest of the year. And I'm in.
Yeah, it's a little odd. But, naturally this whole week's been like in the 50s and a lot of rain. So, yeah, kind of messes up the golf plans a little bit. But nonetheless, we're here. We're doing it.
Very Seattle-esque.
Yeah, exactly. I feel like that's, happening right now in a lot of places. But
not in Florida.
Not in Florida. Not in Florida. Today's episode's a good one, though. We got Billy Draddy joining us here on the pod. Which we'll get into that a little bit later, but it's incredible.
It's really cool. Again, I'm excited for everyone to listen to the Billy Draddy episode. Owner of Summit Golf Brands, which is B Draddy, Zero Restriction, Fairway and Green, and there's a women's brand that we speak about on the podcast as well. But man, there's been a lot to cover over the last, 6 days. We've had the PGA Championship. We've had Game 7s in the NHL. The NBA. Is it the NBA Conference Finals?
Yeah, it's kicking off. Yeah, it's kicked off this week already.
I'm not paying attention to the NBA much, honestly. So
yeah, we got the Pacers and the Knicks going at it, and the Thunder and the Minnesota Timberwolves. Man, it's actually a pretty good Final Four for the NBA. And for those of you that care, I do have the Pacers winning it all. And I picked that a couple weeks ago, threw a little cash on it, so hopefully we ride that horse in. Because God knows the golf bets this past weekend were
not
awful.
good.
Awful.
Missed the boat by a long shot. Man, who did you end up taking?
I ended up taking JT, missed cut. I ended up throwing some money on Oberg, missed cut. And then, for whatever god-awful reason, I think it was Saturday morning. It was Friday. I live bet Homa. And, because he was kind of doing it a little bit. And I'm like, well, this cat, he's been fighting it all year. I mean, he's got the two-way miss going and whatnot. So I was thinking maybe he's got some momentum. And then you talked me into live betting Bryson when his phenomenal bet. I mean, in theory. Because
in theory. In theory, if anyone else is in the lead other than Scotty Scheffler, I feel like we're walking away with a couple $100 extra bucks.
Yeah, but the thing of it is Bryson on Sunday could not make a putt, and on Saturday he finished the last 2 or 3 holes 3 over par. So he would have been right in it even when Scotty was hanging around at 10 under. Had he completed the round on Sunday. But nonetheless, no dubs for the boys this weekend. It's funny, my dad texts me, and because now he knows I'm betting golf. It's not like I just started betting golf, but recently with my fortunes, I've been more inclined to bet golf. And he's like, any luck this weekend, RB? No. All my boys missed the cut, and Bryson didn't get it done. But it was kind of, in my opinion, Thursday's round, watched a little bit of it. Friday's round, watched some of it, had it on, trying to get into it a little bit. Wasn't that great. I was happy to see Johnny Vegas on top. But outside of that storyline, it was kind of boring, man. It just kind of wasn't that great until Saturday and Sunday.
How about this whole Rory McIlroy thing with the non-conforming driver on Wednesday? Did you see this?
I did.
Non-conforming driver on Wednesday. Same driver he used at the Masters. Same exact one. And did not do any media availability, I believe, from Wednesday to Sunday. So people are a little upset. I don't know if you saw that on social media, but there's a lot of media personalities out there that are not happy because he's not talking. Is he afraid of the questions from the Masters? He used that same driver. So what do you do now?
I mean, I don't know. In some respect, I don't blame him because he's in a major tournament and he doesn't want that to be a distraction. But on the other hand,
side of that, he's the face of the PGA Tour.
Yeah, right.
You got to do it.
Right.
Listen, bud, there's things I don't want to do. I do them.
there's a lot of things I don't want to do, and I do them.
I
So it's
took-
like you just got to do it.
Yeah, just do it. Like Nike
Like,
said.
oh, dude, the new
you know-
Jays. Bookmark where we're at with Roy, but the new Jaybirds came in this past weekend. You get your pair?
Not yet.
Oh, they're sick. Supposed to add 10 yards to the ball,
And
to the drive. A little click, turn.
yeah.
They're fucking bad.
So I feel like Nike did a nice little advertisement on Scotty Scheffler, which was funny. But also our friend Natalie Sheehan from Pelican had a good one that said "From jail to quail." I mean, you talk about how funny would that have been if somebody would have posted "From jail to quail."
Yeah, that's actually hilarious.
So
That's
I
hilarious.
thought that was hilarious that Natalie posted that as a quote. And
Okay, outside of Scotty Scheffler winning, who were you rooting for?
well, financially, I was rooting for
I know who you were rooting
Fowler.
for financially. Oh, yeah, I forgot about him. He missed the cut, too.
and then I took Rory, which I heard somebody the other day. Rory had zero chance of winning that event. Not because he's not talented, not because it's just there's so much from the Masters that happened.
Yeah.
And then I took the Bryson thing, like you said. I kind of jumped on that opportunity when he made double on Saturday. I liked the odds. I thought that I didn't obviously think that Scheffler would go on a tear on Saturday and really separate himself, but he did. So
He did.
needless to say, I owe you some money because I had you sliding some money under the table to you to place a bet over there for me and this, that, and the other. So I appreciate you, man.
No, it's a pleasure. It's like, it's friends helping friends. That's what it comes down to.
So let's get into today's episode. Billy Draddy, owner of Summit Brands, couple brands that you guys have heard of. Be Draddy, which I really like their product. It's a cool product. It's a comfortable product. Zero restriction, a lot of rain gear, but they're also coming out with some forward-thinking pieces and fashion-forward pieces that are nice layering things. And then Fairway and Green, and then, like I mentioned, the other brand that we will get into on the episode.
Well, Billy cracked a code with the perspiration and the sweat lingering smell.
Somebody was just talking about this the other day, dude.
Well, that was us.
No, on top of us, which is like, is this really a thing?
Who's on top of us? What? Yeah, I'm telling you, it is a thing because it's very noticeable to me. And I don't like sweat profusely. I'm not like Steve Peering out there dripping wet. But at the end of the day, I do get a little warm. And Billy Draddy cracked a code. He tells all about these performance gears and what his opinion is on that in the future. So I'm not going to spoil it.
Let's roll it on over to Billy Draddy, live from his car.
Here we go. All right, you guys tuning in today on Chasing Birdies. We are joined by an entrepreneur, a clothing mecca, and anybody with the name Billy Draddy is obviously a cool dude by my standard. So we have Billy Draddy on the podcast today. As you may know, his clothing line, Be Draddy, and other lines as well in his business. So we appreciate you coming on the show today.
Oh, you got it, guys. Excited to be here.
You know, our whole premise of the show is chasing birdies, whether it's on the course or in life, and you kind of encapsulate that. So I'm excited, man. I'm excited.
Cool.
So you're living down the road. I know that you're doing this from your car, but we just took a nice little golf trip with a mutual friend of ours, Vincent Trocek, and he had said, oh, "Dude, I live right down the road from him." So,
Oh yeah,
up there in
he's
Rye,
been a
New
great
York.
addition to the area. Yeah, he's been a great addition to the area. My wife, I actually met. I met him through my wife actually because
Okay.
my wife's a decorator,
Oh.
and she's done some work for the Rangers guys because a lot of them, come in and out of town, and they need to get their pads up to date quickly.
Yeah.
And so she's good in helping out with that. But quickly got to know him also through a mutual friend, a guy named Matt Bagley,
Yeah.
who had become great friends with JT when he was in town, and with their history together, when Vinny moved to town, he immediately lined him up with Matt, who is he's like the godfather of Rye.
Well, that's his member guest partner, and I've heard all about the Wingfoot member guest that's happening here in a few weeks. And Bagley's his partner. So, and that was a nice little deal. I know you're a diehard Rangers fan, which, we're from Pittsburgh, so sorry, but getting JT Miller back with the band, that was a nice addition. He's a great golfer too. I don't know if you've had the opportunity to play golf with him yet, but he pounds it.
Oh yeah. Yeah. No, I heard he's going to try and qualify for the Open this year.
Yeah, he did that last year too, in Pittsburgh. So I think he's going to give it another go here. I think it's actually this week. So
yeah, you got to have your game together if you're going to try and do that. That's for sure.
Yeah, there's no doubt about it. I love how Pep apologized when he said, we're from Pittsburgh, but you guys are closer to winning a cup than Penguins are.
Oh yeah,
and we go.
No, there's not a chance in the world we're closer.
Well, last year,
yes,
look
you
at
are.
you guys.
Yes, you are.
I mean, yeah, 100%. I
can't wait to hear, and I don't know if I'll ever know, like, what went down with the Rangers this year. Like, it went from being like, you're like, all right, we're on the cusp, and then all of a sudden it's like, oh, we're not even going to make the playoffs. This is like, and it's almost like if you kind of know you're rebuilding, you're already like, all right, well, if we make the playoffs, that'll be great. But if we don't, we're rebuilding,
Right.
But when you're like expected to go to the conference finals or the Stanley Cup and you don't even make the playoffs, like that distance you've traveled emotionally is greater,
Well,
and
that's the thing too, is that like you guys were in the conference finals last year.
Yeah.
Essentially the same team.
Yes.
But your core was there, and for that to happen, I don't know. But you got a new head coach, which he's coming from Pittsburgh. That's going to be a good one for you guys. Yeah, he's going to be really good for you guys. So I think his time in Pittsburgh was over. I think he kind of lost the team. He was here a little too long, which that happens in coaching. And so I think it's going to be a nice addition to the Rangers. I know Vince is really excited. I mean, again, we were just with him, and he's really excited for the upcoming year. So,
well, yeah, I think they should just build the team around those two, JT and Vince, because, I mean, they're just the way they both play. It's a very kind of like New York personality, where they just kind of leave it all on the ice. They're a little bit edgy, kind of hit first, ask questions later. Definitely. I mean, I love the way both of them play.
Well, they play golf opposite of what you just described, their hockey nature. I can tell you that. Vince is very quiet and reserved on the golf course. He's just strolling. Now, sometimes he's double fisting with his drinks of choice.
Yeah.
But, he's no hard hitting out there, And I tell you what, though, we went to Ireland a couple years ago, and Vince was on a trip. His golf game since 23 to 25, big time. Big time.
Yeah.
I mean, he shot 3 under on the back nine at Peachtree.
Yeah.
Fuck.
Right.
Yeah. He shot 33, and it was ho-hum. Like, I didn't even know that it was done. I played with him. I'm like, what? 33? So,
well, I always say if you gave me the choice of a football player, basketball player, baseball player, or a hockey player in my foursome, I would take the hockey player every single time. Yeah. Because, a slap shot is all you need, to hit a golf ball, and their hands are unbelievable. So it's not like they could just hit the ball hard.
Right.
They've got that touch, they're all hustlers. So I would always take a hockey player on my team for sure.
And they're not scared to fight either. You get some knuckleheads behind you hitting into you.
No, I know.
You know what? They're going to be barking. Be like, knock it down back there, eh? What are you doing?
Well, and I think that's the hard thing for contact sport athletes to learn about golf is that, I come from a family of football players, and like when you make a bad play, you just come out and hit someone harder the next time. And, that's not the modus operandi in golf. You gotta, forget everything that just happened on the last shot and live in the moment and all that kind of stuff, which I'm not good at.
Well, I'll tell you what you are good at is clothing. And
Thank you.
for those of you don't know, Billy Draddy they have Summit brands, which is B Draddy, Zero Restriction, Fairway and Green, and EP, which is the women's side of things.
Yeah.
And I will tell you, this past weekend, there were 6 of us, and I can't tell you. I think we were at Peachtree and Sage Valley, and I think everyone took home a
for
B
sure.
Draddy or Zero piece.
Definitely.
And that's cool because, you've got all these different personalities and different vibes, but somehow Zero Restriction, I feel like Zero Restriction's really made a turn on just pieces and things like that. And B Draddy with the pocket polo. Like, I really want to hear this pocket polo story because
Yeah.
I love that. That is one of my favorite golf shirts. You throw it on, you go to the pool, you throw it on with jeans. Like, it's
Yeah.
the all wear piece.
Well, you just encapsulated what we were hoping to do. When I started, you'd walk into a golf shop and ask them where their cotton golf shirts were, and they didn't even know what you were asking. They looked at you like you had, 3 heads, and there wasn't any, really any cotton out in the marketplace, and so when we started, I didn't want to like get into arguments with golf pros about whether or not people want to wear cotton to play golf. The way I always phrased it to them was, listen, if you had a fruit stand and even if you could sell more oranges than apples, you would still carry apples because you'd get incremental business. And so that was kind of our MO. And like, I didn't even care if people wore the shirt to play golf in. We wanted the people to wear the shirt the rest of the day, when you're leaving the club, when you're going to watch your kid play sports, when you're going out with your boys. I wear them to go to sleep in. They're so comfortable. So like, we would rather have people wear them all those other times and say, you want to know what, I'm going to wear a tech shirt to go play golf than not to wear it at all. So you kind of nailed exactly what our goal was.
So, how did you come up with the pocket polo? Because it's got that vintage feel to it, and I know a lot of companies are doing it. But again, a lot of these companies have their niche markets, right? Your Johnny O's, your Red Valley's known for their shorts. B Draddy, when you think of B Draddy, you instantly think of that classic cotton pocket polo. Where did that come up from?
Well, I'm the 3rd generation in my family in the clothing business, and so I have this. I've got a multi-generational archive in my head of things that my father's business was selling, grandfather's business was selling. So there was this. My family was involved with Izod Lacoste, and there was this old Izod Lacoste shirt that they did that was very similar to the Draddy fabric. It had a pocket on it, and it had the gator in the upper corner of it. And it was one of my favorite shirts growing up. The difference was it had a knit collar as opposed to this like self collar. So that was the main difference with it. But that was kind of my inspiration. We then, in terms of the fabric, I had worked at Bobby Jones and I'd worked at Polo, and I had always kind of tried to launch this like soft cotton polo, something that's really soft. So I had kind of figured out through trial and error that, the Peruvian Pima cotton was the softest that you could find. And so I applied that with just a little bit of Lycra so that you could get that tech feeling to it when you put it on, that it would stretch with you, that it would have memory to it. It also helped kind of like with the wash and wear, the spandex does. So we kind of took an old idea, combined it with a newer, modern fabric, and, the pocket was always part of it. And so, the thing that we went out to the clubs with was that we would be able to embroider it, right up here in the corner of the pocket, which was kind of the look. So we had kind of a secret way that we were going to do that in our warehouse in Wisconsin, and it ended up working. That's kind of like the origin story behind the cotton pocket polo.
It is one of my favorite polos go-to pieces, just because of what you said. Like, it's a memory piece. Like, it just fits your body. It's so soft. I feel like after washes, it gets softer and softer, and I could be wrong.
Exactly. No, it does. It gets better with time. And we have people that went to our launch party, I guess, 13 years ago now, or 12 years ago now. And, they're like, I've still got it. I'm still wearing it once a week, and it's incredibly soft. Yeah, it does. It's like an old pair of jeans. It does get better with age, and that's the beauty of cotton.
I just went to, we were at Grove. I got one with the Grove 23 Black Panther on it. And it is,
wow.
I mean, it's beautiful, right? And people notice it because of that little pocket's leaning forward just a hair. And I love what you guys are doing, stamping the logos on the inside of the shirt, kind of customizing it to each club. That's really a cool touch too. So, and it's something that you're doing differently than all other brands out there.
Well, that is kind of like my design philosophy, is that, if someone else is doing it, then we don't need to be doing it. We always want to be creating something new that causes a need to act. I don't have anything like that. Mostly with Zero, that's most important. You always have to push the technology, and zero restriction is my favorite thing to design because of that. You're always kind of pushing the technology, trying to create something that guys don't have in their wardrobe. And it's a really satisfying brand to work for too, because if the quality is there, price really isn't an object, because it delivers on the price value relationship. So, so I love that part of the design process, is just creating unique stuff.
The thing about the polos is, with that cotton blend, that's probably why it wears well in the heat. Like, because I have a couple of the shirts as well, and I know it well. They're awesome. They're really cool. And I like the little ball marker. I feel like it's a ball marker that comes with the tag or something. It's pretty rad.
You guys got the details down. I love it.
For sure. That's what I know. But the point is that it's not one of those shirts that's just going to like sweat on you and like, it's a comfortable cotton shirt to wear, period.
Yeah.
Period.
Well, the difference, just what you're feeling is, all of the tech fabrics, and we make tech fabrics, so I'm not saying anything bad about them. They're all hydrophobic, which means that they resist water. So that's why you feel dry in them, but you actually sweat more because they're not as breathable as cotton is. So people feel like you sweat less because your shirt's not absorbing it. You're actually sweating more, so you're hotter, but it just doesn't breathe as well as cotton,
That's an interesting point you make there, because I notice every time that I'm wearing one of the new tech shirts, and I feel like someone comes out with a tech shirt every other week. But anyways, every time I wear them, I smell under my armpit, and it's not just like body odor. It's like, it's a weird thing. But when I wear a normal cotton shirt, no, I do. But I'm just saying, like, what he's saying is probably true. Like, your body's probably hotter in that type of material. And I notice it more wearing that than opposed to, one of your shirts. 100%.
Yeah. Well,
100%.
What happens is the cleaning detergents don't get the sweat out of the garment. So it kind of like permanently lives there. And so once you start sweating, once it gets heated, it activates that sweat that's been living there. I mean, I've got 4 boys that play hockey. So it's a lesser version of what a hockey bag is, where you can't get rid of, that sweat that's just permanently in the jersey and in the equipment. It's the same thing with the golf shirts. It holds on to the sweat. And so when you start sweating again, it reactivates it.
Yeah, that makes sense. I didn't know that. And
that's really cool.
But you constantly, Billy, in your business, like right now we're in May, and you are probably working on spring of 26. What are you doing right now?
No, I am done with fall of 26.
So you just got done with fall of 26.
Fall 26.
So,
yeah, I just finished. Yeah.
Oh my God.
So how do you guys know like the color palettes and things for fall of 26?
Well, our brand, each of the brands has its own kind of like color
vibe.
DNA.
Mm-hmm.
Draddy, because we do a lot of cotton. You always do stuff that takes the cotton well. So the colors always have to be kind of bright because cotton kind of knocks down the color, the vibrancy of the color. And zero is more of an active palette, kind of like colors that you'd see in a pair of sneakers or something like that.
Yeah.
So you're always kind of just looking, for zero specifically, I'm always looking at colors of sneakers when I'm thinking about what colors we're going to use for the jackets.
That's pretty cool.
So, as I had mentioned, you have zero restriction, and I actually was on the website probably about 2 weeks ago, scrolling, looking at. There's this white rain jacket with a hood with orange, and orange is my favorite color. So I'm like, this is tempting.
Yeah.
What's the difference between you guys and say a shoes in the rainwear, right? Because I think people. Shoes is in a lot of pro shops, right? It's that $500 to $700 garment that people are just not even batting an eye at.
Yeah. Well, the truth is that there's really not that much different, in terms of, I know that we use the same fabric manufacturers that they do. And, so, in terms of, that would be one company that I would say the performance, there really is the performance, whether or not you're going to stay dry when the worst weather in the world is happening around you. There's really no difference in terms of the performance. And that would probably be the only brand I would say that about. But in terms of everything else, it's just styling and fit, in terms of the real technical performance, it's it's the same. We both guarantee the waterproofness of our garments for the life of the garment. So, you've got that ultimate guarantee. And then it just comes down to personal styling. So, that would be the only real difference, I would say. I think they probably charge a little bit more for theirs, but I don't know that I should even say that. I don't even know their pricing that well, but, but in terms of the quality, I would say there's no difference.
I think it's so, and I don't know why, but wearing outerwear in the rain and playing golf, it's amazing that these guys on tour, like, it doesn't affect them. I don't think it does. You see them wearing it whenever they have to, and they're swinging. Me, I don't know why. It's like mentally, I don't know if it's long sleeves or what, I don't know what it is, but I just have an issue all the time wearing rain gear.
Yeah.
And
well, I think it comes down to, part of it's mental. We hear,
I think so.
We've done like the President's Cup and stuff like that. So you get 15 different guys, all who are supposed to wear the same jacket or something like that. And each guy has their own thing. Some guys don't like full zips, when they're out there playing. Some guys like you don't like to have a full sleeve. They need a half sleeve. So when we go about doing a team event like that, we create, 3 or 4 jackets for the whole team so that they all have something that kind of fits within their own, it's really their own mental state, because clearly, someone like Tom Watson can put on a jacket and he can win 5 British Opens and it doesn't bother him at all. But, everyone's different,
Well, I was just with, actually in October, I was just with a B. Draddy staffer in Jim Furyk. And he had that hoodie. I forget what hoodie he had on. And we got talking about, the outfitting of the President's Cup that you guys did with the zero restriction and all that, and all that went into it. Like, people don't realize that the captain has to make those decisions, right? He even went into, there's out of 15 guys, there's 12 different golf balls that they're playing, and he has to make sure that they all line up with different people. He's sending golf balls here and there, and I'm sure to an extent it's a lot of that for you guys too. You're sending them all these jackets, and they're picking one that they feel comfortable with. But that hoodie that he had on, I think it might be, is it the Proctor or?
Oh
hoodie?
yeah.
Well, I got that version in the cashmere, the 100% cashmere from Laurel Valley from our boys Chris McKnight and Shane. And they did you guys did the little pink right here with the pink drawstring.
Yeah.
Holy hell.
Yeah, it was custom for them. Yeah.
Yeah. I mean, the price was custom too, but
yeah,
Pep's still paying it off.
yeah.
I asked him for a
And you
payment
guys
plan.
play some unbelievable golf courses. I've been in the golf business for fucking 25 years, and I haven't played the courses you guys are playing. Unbelievable.
Well,
Billy,
you're
I don't
talking
get
to
the-
America's
I mean,
guest.
you're playing in the Grove, Laurel Valley. I mean, just a Beach Tree, just in one call. You guys have name dropped like 3 places. Like,
Billy, I don't get labeled America's Guest for nothing. Okay, it's a name that I take, and I've earned it.
clearly you welcome it.
I just the guy that hosted us down in Sage Valley, he's like, hey, maybe in the fall we can have Pep plan us a golf trip. I'm like, Peppy has a PhD in golf trip planning. Like, there's no two ways about it. And if he can't get on right away, he will get on at some
Somehow,
point. There's
some capacity.
absolutely no question. It's funny as hell.
Hey, Pep, does anyone ever tell you your voice sounds like John C. Reilly's?
No.
You know, the brother from, the guy from Talladega
stepbrother.
Nights?
Yeah, stepbrothers.
Yeah.
Yeah, Delhi. Yeah, no.
I mean, say, I picture my Jesus in a tuxedo T-shirt.
I picture my Jesus in a tuxedo T-shirt.
Yes, it's the same. There's something to it. Like, I like the party with my Jesus.
Yeah.
You remember that Spider Monkey guy or whatever his name
Yeah.
was?
Oh, yeah.
I'm gonna come
We
at
were
you
down
like a
in-
spider monkey, Chip.
Yeah.
We were sitting down there at Old Hickory in Nashville, and this cat comes up and he sits down. He's starting to play guitar, and Pep's talking to him, and he told Pep something about him. He was in the movie, and he was the brother that, Spider Monkey, whatever. And I'm like, hey buddy, I said, honest to God, I'm not trying to offend you, but I can't tell you. I've never watched the movie. I have no idea what you're talking about right now.
No way.
That's what I
so
said, dude.
Pep went straight
Oh my
fanboy
God.
on him and pulled up YouTube.
Oh,
But
yeah. I mean,
pretty
we've
funny.
watched it. It's got to be, I'm going to say 50, but it could be 100 times in my house. Now, I've got 4 teenage boys, so like our level of humor, that's like the
That's
sweet
it.
spot,
That's
like,
it.
and like the ultimate quotable movie, like "Shut up, Chip,"
Yeah. Yeah, and that's him. And
Yeah.
it was him. It was hysterical. I'm like, this kid, you're the most quoted kid I've ever seen.
Yeah.
He can play the guitar though.
Yeah, he can play guitar.
really?
That's for sure. Yeah, it's incredible. So you have as you've mentioned, you have a long list of history in your family in the garment business. Is that kind of how you got started with your career path? Watching your grandfather, your dad, because you're around it so much, and I would say that Draddy and Zero, it's a luxury item, right? Nobody needs a $120 polo. So how did you get into that, following your family's footsteps?
Well, you're around it, and you don't even realize it. I'm sure you guys, your parents were, obviously had some sort of business they were in, and you don't even realize that when you grow up around it, you're just by osmosis, you're just absorbing all this stuff. And actually, when I graduated from college, I had gotten a job with a clothing company, and my dad convinced me not to do it. And he said, listen, you can always go into that. Why don't you try something else for 2 years? And then if you want to come back to it, you can come back to it. And which was, great advice. But I mean, once I got a year into doing something else, I was counting the days until I could get into the clothing business. And, I understand where he was coming from. He always wanted to be in the restaurant business, and he got into the clothing business because that's what his family was in. And he eventually got into the restaurant business. But this is what I always wanted to be in. And so when I was in college, I had started working for Timberland, and so I worked for them through my last 2 years of college. And then an opportunity came up to go work for them and learn design on the job from the guy that was designing the Timberland clothing. So it kind of took my career in a different path than, what my father or grandfather had done. And it gave me the opportunity to learn design on the job, which was, an incredible opportunity.
Yeah, that's a great story.
So was your father and grandfather, were they in the suit industry, or were they in the golf wear?
No, in
What?
the sportswear, So the Izod Lacoste. You guys are
Oh yeah.
probably too young
No.
when Izod and Lacoste were married like
Uh-huh.
until 1990 or something like that, and then Izod had to sell the right to the Alligator back to the parent French company. So yeah, they were both involved with that for probably 40 years, something like that.
I remember I used to love that. I don't even, it's not even cotton. What material was that classic?
No, it's cotton piqué. Yeah,
Yeah,
cotton
so
piqué.
in college I had so many Lacoste polos, and I remember
Yeah,
that when I was in college, that was when the double collar, you'd wear two freaking polos and pop the
Yeah.
collars.
You did
Yeah.
that?
Yeah, but I did that. I mean, I look like
I didn't even do that. Now I was getting them for
Wow.
free. Jesus, yeah.
yeah. So I was rocking an orange with a yellow double collar popped, showing up to college parties. I got
Wow,
photos, dude.
dude.
You want them? I got them.
I bet you picked up all kind of chicks looking like that.
Yeah.
Or actually probably, yeah. The
I know what you were gonna say. I know
I'm
what
not
you were gonna say.
I'm not saying it.
Yeah,
I'm
okay,
good. I'm but yeah, that's, it's, I always think, because we have a buddy, Pep and I have a buddy, Steve Peering, who's been in the clothing world forever on the sales side. And, he sits there and he'll look at your shirt and he can tell you what it is, like 85% polyester, 15% that, 12%, whatever. But, and he does a great job. It's a phenomenal job. But the point being is, I always have thought that, and you're established, so this doesn't apply to you by any stretch, but these new golf, you always see these new brands coming out, McCade, other companies that are just trying to enter into the golf clothing space. And I just look back, I'm not knocking them, because I'd love anyone that tries and has an idea and wants to bring it to fruition. That's phenomenal. But I just feel like it is such a crowded space. If you were just like, what could you do different? I don't know. You know what I mean?
Yeah, well, that's what you got to find. You got to find that, that different product that the world is needing. And it's different. As time goes by, it evolves. Like when I was starting, I said there was no cotton golf shirts in the market at the time, so it was a great opportunity for me to kind of launch what I was launching. The world changes. There's so much information now coming out about, all these tech fabrics and what they do to your hormones and everything like that. We're not there now, but there's going to be a point where we're all going to be wearing natural fiber clothing again. And, all this stuff that's kind of man-made is, at the end of the day, it's not good for you. It's kind of like organic food. When Whole Foods started out, everyone's like, well, why would I pay twice as much for organic food when I could go to Food City and, get it at half the price? But then you realize that, all the stuff they're putting into the food isn't good for you.
Yeah.
And now everyone shops at Whole Foods. So it's going to be kind of the same thing in clothing where, all the chemicals that go into making these tech products, they're just not good for you and they're not good for the environment. So, we're all going to be, back to wearing cotton and wool and cashmere and all that kind of stuff. Not tomorrow, not in 5 years, but,
At some
definitely
point.
as time goes by. Yeah.
Well, you had mentioned Steve Peering, and he does a really good job because, we talk about niche markets, and, somebody that has a niche that does extremely well on it is Red Vanley with their bottoms, right? They have a niche.
Yes. Yeah,
and
totally.
They're very comfortable, and Steve will come to us and say, hey, what do you like about that short? What fit do you like? Are you looking for like an 8-inch short or a 10-inch short? Because he's trying to do some R&D and take it back to his team. And I appreciate that because like Ryan said, I'm in the jewelry business and in the bridal business, we have so many competitors, but what makes you different, right? The quality of the product, the service you can provide, the pricing you can provide at that high quality. So I get it, and it is every industry has that competitiveness. You just got to separate yourself in some capacity.
Yeah, being striving to have the best quality is always a differentiator. If you're trying to have the best, if you can create something that is just of a higher quality than what's out there, that is a point of differentiation. I mean, Red Vanley is a great example. They created a waistband that wasn't in the golf market, and all of a sudden everyone was wearing small,
Pull-ups.
medium, large golf shorts.
Yeah.
It was a great concept. So, innovation always will create an openness in the market for sure.
Do you have any brand ambassadors on tour?
Yeah, for sure. Our first one was Zach Blair.
Okay.
And he's kind of like, he's a great brand ambassador because of exactly what I said. Like, he's just, he does things just a little bit differently. He's a tour pro, but he also just opened up the tree farm, which has always been a goal of his. He's kind of an artist himself. Yeah. So he was our first tour pro. And then we've got other guys like, Taylor Moore and Brian Harmon and Victor Perez, and, a good balance. Not the most guys out there, but a couple guys every week that are going to compete, even in the majors. Like Harmon has been a great representative.
He's steady Eddie. Yep.
He was in the mix a couple weeks ago at Harbor Town.
Yeah.
I mean, he's playing some good G. I mean,
so what does that do to your brand for people that don't understand when an ambassador wins? What does that do to your brands the week after or a couple weeks after? Do you feel like your traffic on your site kind of goes up a little bit? Sales just a hair? What does that do for you guys as an organization?
Yeah, it's a little bit. I mean, you would never. It doesn't transform a brand or anything like that. Certain guys, as I say, sell shirts more than others. A guy like Ricky Fowler, even though he hasn't won any majors, he's probably done more for Puma Golf than all their tour pros combined. There's just certain personalities that really kind of uplift the brand. And, Tiger did the same thing with Nike. Freddie Couples did it with Ashworth. There's just certain personalities that can really uplift a brand. And so if you have one of those, then it's a big deal. But, with our guys, they're just good guys for the brand. And we like them as much as they like us. And in all the cases, either they or their agents came to us as like, listen, I love the product. I'd love to wear it on tour. And that's kind of the starting point, because I always feel kind of funny about just paying a guy to wear something. I'd much rather have it be, this is what I want to wear.
Right.
Well, I was just going to say that, like, you're not going to have a Ricky Fowler come to you and wear B Draddy, and no knock to either one of you, but that's not his vibe, right? Like he's just not, it's not him. So like, it's better to get somebody like a Brian Harmon or a Zach Blair that's their vibe. They look good in it. They actually believe in the product. They wear the product off camera too. That's the other thing.
Yeah. Yes, exactly. When they're out to dinner with their wife or girlfriend, they're wearing it. And that's how actually we got Victor Perez. Was like, he had just finished with Laura Piana, and he's like, he likes wearing cashmere sweaters, and so he had picked up a couple of our products, and his agent reached out, and it just ended up being a perfect marriage of the two brands.
We had Stephen Malbon on the show a couple years ago. Yeah. And you talk about opposite ends of the spectrum with you and that brand. I mean, and again, it's absolutely not
all
knocking
good.
anything.
No, it's all good. Yeah.
It's all good.
Yeah.
But he's got his vibe going on with his thing, and he's blowing up in his world, and then, you look at your brand and how that fits in. And I think it's a beautiful place because it's like a healthy ecosystem. I don't feel like anybody has beef. It's not like Drake and the guy that did the halftime show. There's no beef. Everyone's just kind of putting out what they feel is their vibe and is their image and brand, and that's cool. And it does fit in golf, especially with the golf movement that we're witnessing right now before our very eyes, and that is in the sense of a more lax, gaining popularity, more youth, and I think it's phenomenal. And clothing is a huge aspect of that. I mean, look, I was golfing last week and someone said, you look too cool to be playing golf. But meanwhile, I three-putted.
Yeah.
I three-putted. So I said, do I look cool now? No. But it's like, I love that. Golf is on a different type of trajectory right now. And I think it's good for everybody involved. Yeah.
That's awesome.
Yeah, what you said is just a great statement about where we are with golf today, that all of these different brands that can be on the opposite end of the spectrum, and there's room for everybody. There's a business there for everybody. You know, when I first got into the golf business, you couldn't say that. You know, like if you weren't designing this type polo or whatever, there really wasn't room for you. And it's so great to see that the business has grown so much over, you know, through the Tiger era and now through this era, that that there's room for a lot of different golf brands, and golf is a whole lot cooler than it was 10 years ago, for sure.
And I think too, the other cool thing about golf that I don't think a lot of people look at is, you know, and I believe you're there, but your wing foots, which are your classic, your Oakmonts, your Baltustrals, you know, you wear your polos tucked in your khaki shorts, and you play the country club, right? Or you got your other vibes that are the Troubadours, the Groves, where wear whatever you want. And I think that's cool about golf now too, is because there's a little bit of everything for someone in this game.
Well, and it's just like life, you know. It's like, you know, if you're going to go visit, you're going to go meet your girlfriend's parents, you're going to dress a certain way. Mm-hmm. You know, if you're going to go hang out with your boys, you're going to dress another way. You know, and as long as you have respect for the traditions at each of these places, then that's all good. You know, it's like, you know, I think it's incredible that, you know, certain places you can go and, you know, the music's already, the speaker's already set up in the cart for you to put the music in and start listening. You know, you don't have to go covert or bring your own speaker or whatever. I love that there's all of that. At some places you play barefoots, the other places you can't even play in sneaker golf shoes. You know, I love that there's something for everybody, or something for every day of the week, you know.
Right.
Yeah. 100%.
Because I like it all. I like my kids have to get dressed up when they come to the club. They have to show that respect. They learn, you know, about, you know, the traditions of the game. But I also like going on vacation with them and playing a par 3 course and doing it barefoot and having drinks brought out to us, you know, while we're playing. You know, I like it all.
It's phenomenal. Yeah. I want to touch briefly on the women's line, because we never really spoke of that. And with golf gaining popularity amongst female golfers, clothing is essential. Now, I feel like women, you know, you see some girls out there and they're dressed like traditional wear, but I'm the one that would be a little more on the rebellious side. But so what's your take on the female attire?
Well, so we launched women like a little bit over a year ago, and I didn't want it to be golf at all. I wanted it to be just
athletic,
like sportswear, stuff that you would live in at home.
Yeah.
As I said about the men, but even more casual for women. So, you know, we haven't done any quote unquote golf clothes yet for women, because I don't want to get put in that, you know, in that box where it's just women's golf clothes, because that's a very kind of like confining, not very feminine, not very sexy box, you know. And so we had success launching all these great sweaters and cashmere lounge pants and, you know, great women's t-shirts and stuff like that. And so for next spring, we're going to launch a women's golf line, which will be more performance driven. But I kind of want, like, I find like women's tennis clothes like extremely sexy.
Yeah.
Like, and I would love to see like women's golf kind of move more in that direction, where, you know, when a woman goes to get dressed for golf, it's feminine and it's sexy and all of those things. And it's not, you know, it's not masculine, you know, like, and I find that sometimes the women's golf wear can be very, you know, men's stuff just done in women's sizes.
Yeah. Well, it's funny. I was playing. This is about 5 years ago, maybe 6. I was playing in a qualifier at Fox Chapel Golf Club in Pittsburgh, and my lady came to watch, and she was in a pair of Lululemon yoga pants, which is pretty widely accepted in the world these days. I mean, women wear yoga pants everywhere. So she gets down there, and these old heads could not handle it. I mean, they were like, their minds were like, what in the world? So I was getting ready to tee off, and I see her walking out. I'm like, yo, where are you going? I can't be here. Like, what do you mean? I'm not allowed to walk around the course in these yoga pants. I'm like, that's nice. It's because you're a distraction to everybody. But all right, well, I'll catch you in 5 hours. But I'll never forget that. I'm like, that's But going back to your point, there's a dress code maybe to adhere to, and especially at that place, which is a phenomenal golf club.
Oh yeah,
they don't care. There's no exceptions, which that's fine. But I just was curious.
That's what I wanted to get the stuff that everyone likes to wear, that men like women to wear, and that women like to wear.
Yep.
In the line already, and if we have to do a skirt of a certain length and a polo shirt, to fit within the spectrum of golf, we'll do it. But we want to have all the other stuff first. Gotcha.
So before we head to our last segment of the show here, it's been a pleasure. You seem, naturally I haven't met you in person, but just talking with you, Billy, you seem like one hell of a cool dude.
Thanks.
So what does Billy Draddy like to do other than create rad clothing and golf? Like, what's something that you enjoy doing outside of what you do day to day?
I mean, being a father, really.
Yeah.
Yeah. I've got 4 boys, teenage boys that, are all hockey players and golfers and football players. And, I've spent the last, 15 years being a chauffeur and a coach and a friend, after games. And that is by far my favorite thing. I just went up to Skinny Atlas, this weekend, because my son had a qualifier for the New York State team in hockey. And it's like literally beautiful out. And I'm sitting in this rink, for a day and a half, in 30-degree temperature, freezing my ass off when I could be playing golf. But the truth is, I would rather do that than, and almost anything else. Yeah. And so that's probably, what I like doing more. And now that my oldest is 20 and my youngest is 14, I see those days starting to narrow. So I'm really trying to take advantage of every chance I get to be that guy.
That's awesome.
Yeah, that's great. No, that's keeps you busy for sure.
Yeah.
But we are here at the end of our show here, Billy, and we are going to transition to our tap-in segment presented by Bettinardi Golf. Check them out online at bettinardi.com. Jonathan's going to ask you a couple questions here, Billy, that demand your quick response and, a little fun.
Okay.
All right. Your favorite golf destination?
Internationally, St. Andrews, and domestically, Fisher's Island.
I hear Troach rants about Fisher's Island.
Do you want me to elaborate or just quick answers?
You can give us a minute. Elaborate. Yeah.
I mean, St. Andrews is like a spiritual experience to me. Like every time I go there, I feel like there's something bigger, higher going on. It's such a cool town. And when you play those golf courses, it's such a perfect experience. And Fisher's Island is just unbelievable. 15 holes that kind of go over the tip of an island. Most times you're carrying your own bag, walking. It's just another very kind of purist experience. They don't have any sprinklers on the golf course. It's all kind of au naturel.
Wow.
Yeah.
Wow. That's really cool. Dream foursome, dead or alive?
Oh, I would have to say that would be tough. No, it actually wouldn't be that tough. So it would be my grandfather, my father, my brother, and me.
That's really cool. Yeah. All right. Advice for younger people wanting to get involved in the clothing business.
Start at the bottom. Like go, whatever it is, go work in a store, start folding some shirts, learn, from the bottom up. It's like a lot of industries. There's no kind of like fast track to the top. It's like you have to, if you're going to be in the restaurant business, you have to start washing dishes. If you're going to be, an actor, you have to start, getting your ass kicked in auditions and stuff like that. It's just get out there, and there's no barriers. Like anyone can do it. But just start doing it.
Last question. What are you chasing?
Oh, I don't like to chase anything, honestly. Like chasing seems a little desperate to me. Like you're on the edge of I like to have things come and
awesome.
And do it. And actually that's the way we launched our business. Like we would go in and tell people like, if you're not ready for this, no problem. I mean, we're not going to go next door and try and sell somebody else. We think you're the right customer, but we also think that this product's right for you. So, but if you're not ready for it yet, no problem. And that actually served us very, very well.
I think that is the first time in 5 years someone's answered that question in that manner of, I don't chase, it comes to me. Now, the other question to that would be, why are we asking that question after 5 years? But it kind of goes in with the show. But that is the first time, Billy, someone said that answer. And that's I like that answer. Yeah.
Oh, good.
Chill. Awesome. Well, man, it was so nice, having you on the show here and talking to you, meeting you, and hopefully at some point,
Yeah, we could play some golf.
Yeah, let Pepe will invite us somewhere, I'm sure.
Yeah. Hey, he squeezed a couple of, like, free garments out of me from back in the day, for his, what was the guy's name? Martin?
Paulie Martin. Yeah. I'm playing golf with him on Friday.
Yeah. He squeezed.
Couple of freebies. I thought he was his agent. He wasn't even his agent. He's just funny. I was like,
right. I love it. That's hilarious.
Yeah.
Oh shoot. He's got his own code.
Whenever you guys are in the area, I would love to play. For
awesome.
Sure.
Yeah, we got to do it. And you guys out there tuning in, make sure you check B Draddy out online and the other brands because it is phenomenal golf wear. So thank you again.
Thanks, guys.
Thank you.
Fun episode that was. Thank you to Billy Draddy for coming on, spending a little time sitting in your car while the house gets redone. We always appreciate it. But man, you talk about a long list of family history in the clothing business. That's really cool that his grandfather, his father, and now him, and he's got a shot at one of the three boys potentially getting into the business.
Yeah, you start at the bottom feeder, make your way up. Great advice for anybody out there who.
Which it is true.
It is 100%. I mean, you're living proof, and it's worked out.
That's nice, buddy. That was a really good one, actually.
That was good.
So
I'm
that's
kidding.
nice. But yes, it's important for you to learn all avenues of the business before you are at the top.
I'm not a really movie type guy, but. Well, who did he say you were from that movie, Talladega Nights? And he had you quote it. You do kind of sound like the guy. I went on the YouTube and checked it out.
John C. Reilly.
Yeah.
That's nice.
That was pretty good, man.
I'll probably be with
That was pretty good. That was good.
I'll probably be with him. What's his name tonight? So
there you go. So, Bud, tell me something golf-related in your life. I mean, what's excited? I know you got out with an old foe of yours, Paulie Martin, last week at Youghiogheny Country Club. See him back in Pittsburgh. I mean, that's got to be fun for you.
Played golf with old Paulie Martin last week at the Yacht, and it was fun, dude. It was good to catch up. Saw a snake, screamed, "Snake!" And I ran out of there. Thought I was going to turn my ankle again. But yeah, it was good to catch up with the boys. I might have something popping off this week. Maybe we'll fill you in next week. But other than that, dude, I'm ready to get rolling with this golf thing. I know it's kind of like we're like tiptoeing around, right? You play here, then you sit out for 2 weeks, and you play, and then you sit out for. I want to keep it rolling.
Well, for us in our little group, last year we dealt with you and your T-ball injury. This year we're dealing with B-Cats and his pickleball injury with the calf tear. Mm-hmm. So it's like we can't get any type of synergy. We had a bail on the Pete Dye member this past weekend, which, frankly, it opened up my window on the weekend to get a lot of just normal man shit done around the house. So that was good. But I had a chance to go up to Pikewood and play Friday with some of my boys from college, dude. I haven't seen them in like 15 years, literally. I haven't seen them in 15 years. And,
Still
and
the
they
same
were,
height.
I'm still the same. Yeah, still the same. So the boys got out to Pikewood. We had a great time. A little rain delay at 11 for about 50 minutes, but course was good.
Is it good up there?
Yeah, it was really good. Yeah, they had that place in right condition. And so kind of did that, yucked it up a little bit, rolled the rock, decent. But outside of that, I'm just kind of, I'm getting ready for this West Virginia AM, just trying to make the cut.
Yeah, what's the preparation been for, what are you doing for the stadium? I mean, it's about, we're about a week and a half away from the practice round, or 2 weeks away?
Yeah, no, I'm not doing anything different. I'm just going to play golf. And, I have been working on the swing, especially since we got back from Sage, keeping that right elbow in front of me, not getting stuck behind me. It seems to be working well. The last couple times I've played, I've been hitting some balls in the net, getting my swing speed up. So I'm feeling good in terms of that. I just got to go and just, my goal is, frankly, to make the cut. That's it. I just want to put 2 good rounds together and then see what happens after that. So that's my prep, bud. A lot of massaging of myself, a lot of touching of myself, in between my thighs, down to my kneecaps, up to my hamstrings, and potentially the calf muscles so I don't pull a BK. So yeah, that's kind of just my little prep, if you care.
Well, no, I love it. I do want, as far as golf is concerned, I do want to send a congratulations to our boys for the Fincastle 4-ball senior division. Ian Patrick Archer and Phil Zambos brought it home. They took the winner. So exciting for them. I mean, it's hilarious.
That is hilarious.
Funny. It's just funny. And I love that they won. And now I know Ian is off to Glade Springs for the
Super Senior
Golf Association Amateur Tour today.
Little
so play well, dude. I mean, this guy, it's hilarious.
He's living his best life.
But congratulations to you two. I know that you guys had fun. So without further ado.
And I was going to tell the folks out there listening, I know you people are coming into the Pittsburgh region for the U.S. Open, which is next month at Oakmont. And if you're not, you probably will. And if you need a space to stay or place to check out, drive a little south, come up to Farmington, and check out Nemacolin Resort. 2 world-class P-tie golf courses, phenomenal dining experiences, 5-star lodging, pools, whatever you want, they got it. So check them out online at nemacolin.com. Get your plan to book a stay, and we'll meet you up there. It's free. We'll do it. We'll come on up. But that's it. We got the Charles Schwab Challenge kicking off in Texas this weekend. And to my surprise, at this juncture, Scotty Scheffler is playing, and Spieth and Fowler. No Rory McIlroy this week, but next week kicks off the Memorial Tournament, which is one of my favorites. I hear Muirfield Village right now is kicking ass.
Yes.
The rough, the greens, the plushness. So that's going to be a fun tournament.
Yeah.
But let's not get too far.
Yeah, I'm looking forward to the Muirfield Village. They always toughen it up, and I can't wait to get back in maybe June, July.
Oh, yeah.
So look forward to seeing the boys at Muirfield Village in a few weeks. And without further ado, dude, let's roll it on out of this week.
Yeah, man. It's been awesome.
Make sure you follow us at chasin_birdies. Some good content's been coming out. We're trying. The girls are trying. I know that for damn sure.
They're doing great.
So make sure you tap it, like it, love it.
Yeah. Tap. You guys tuning in this week, we appreciate it very much, and we hope you have a phenomenal Memorial Day weekend. Don't forget, golf courses are going to be open on Monday because, like Chris Trott said, why the hell would you close on a Monday? This Monday's a holiday. Go get out there, get some fresh air, play some G, and get it done. So without further ado, we're going to wrap this thing up, and I do want to thank Evo, Allie, and Emily at Simpler Media for putting this thing together, and Jacqueline DiPaterio and Rachel London for all your social media help. You girls kicking ass, and we will catch y'all in 2.